Welcome everyone, we're back with our Eternals coverage. This time we are reviewing the final trailer. Well, it looks like it's the final trailer for Marvel Studios Eternals. Hey Jesse.
In the title. Hey,
Yeah,
what's up? We're back. The Eternals experts, quotations.
yeah. Well, it's kind of weird that they are calling this the final trailer 2 months in advance. Or is it 2 months? Is it 3 months? September,
It's
October?
coming out in November as of now,
What
unless,
the
of
heck?
course, they delay everything inevitably.
So by the way, what I've noticed is that Marvel is now releasing um at least with Shang-Chi, we've had what, two trailers? And right now they're releasing these short clips from the film. So they're doing like this different strategy where they're showing less trailers, but then they're releasing clips from the films itself a week or 2 weeks prior from the release. So I wonder if that's going to be the case here since the trailer is already out. I wonder if they're going to be releasing
Well, I
shorter
feel like,
clips.
I feel like, I feel like they're trying to hype it up because they're getting into uncharted territory with these smaller characters that aren't going to bring in as many general audience people,
But why
and
call
they're
it the
trying to
final
do
trailer?
things.
Why not have three trailers? What if like the final trailer was like we got another trailer a month from now?
Well,
Why
apparently we're
release
not.
the final trailer right now?
I don't know. I just don't know.
So what I
I
think is
I, I
happening,
wonder if it.
I have a theory. It's because who cares how many trailers there are? For one, I think they just want to keep this a secret project. They want to show as much as possible. But at the same time, as we're seeing with Shang-Chi, because they've released like a clip, there's a bus scene, I've watched it, and then they released another one where it's in the skyscraper scene, and I think they're going to release another one. So I think what they're trying to do is in this new phase of Marvel where there are newer characters, they just kind of want you to sort of maybe get to know them better or maybe think of the movie better by showing the quote unquote better scenes a week from advance as opposed to just showing trailers that wouldn't really change your perception of how you look at the project because when you're watching a scene it's way different than just watching a trailer because the trailer is supposed to convince you or make you aware of a property, whereas I think a scene, if they're showing like their best scenes, I think they are trying to then make you actually like the property or make you more optimistic or hey, this actually looks good, I want to see how it looks in the context of the entire film. And I think that's the sort of process they're going for. That's my take on things, and I think we're gonna expect something similar with the Eternals because they've never done this before with the previous Marvel properties, and not even with Black Widow. They didn't release any new clips for her, like longer clips from the film. So I think
Kind of odd if you think about it, because a lot of, or not a lot maybe, but some of the Marvel properties they released back in the day were unknown, like Guardians of the
yeah, but
Galaxy or Ant-Man.
that was you building the property one by one. Now you've established the characters, you've established the foundation. You have Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Those were your, let's say, your main characters. I mean, like to the normie audience, the regular casual audience, those were your main characters. So now bringing in newer characters, to them you're trying to basically replace them, and most people will probably want to move on from the MCU seeing Iron Man, Captain America, and probably Thor after Thor 4. Um, they're going to see that as an opportunity to leave because they see Shang-Chi, they see Eternals, they're like, I don't know these guys. They're probably just trying to replace the other guys, Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., and they're like, I'm probably done with this because I don't really see a need. I don't care for these characters like I did. And this Marvel brand isn't what it was. So I think this is them. So I think that's the reason why they're doing it because that's what it seems like, you know?
It is curious to see because we know that, I don't know how it's going to turn out when these movies actually come out, but if you notice the things that have come out this year, that while there's kind of nerds in our sphere that are critical of them, there's still a lot of people who have really enjoyed things like What If and Loki. And granted, they are using characters that are more well known, but their people are still loving everything they're throwing out so far. And I didn't see as much praise for Black Widow, but I'm sure they were out
Oh, yeah.
there. So it's just hard to tell with the normies and the regular people out there that watch these movies.
I think there are 3 categories I would divide people into, maybe 4 even, but for the sake of the 3 that I'm thinking of, it's the comic book fans, like you and I. Then there are the MCU stands who are obviously normies, but they are just infatuated with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They watch the TV shows, they watch the new movies, and then there are the normies. So I would split the normies into 2 groups itself, and then so that third group would be just normies who are just casual audiences who necessarily aren't like the greatest MCU stands. There are the normal fans, there are the MCU stands who are normies, and there are the normal casual viewers who are also normies. That's how I would divide it into. And the I guess the marketing tricks I see, since you have like the people who watched What If and Loki and all those other shows, those were the MCU stands, which is a pretty big group because they're still normies. But now you're trying to also convince the third group, which are the people who are I don't know. I might go see it. They just approached every movie they watch as a thing they might watch, or they might not watch. It depends if it's something they're interested in, or if they might see something and
you
they're
think
like,
are
yeah, I want to see that.
are any of these movies coming out? Maybe with the exception of say Spider-Man, but are these other movies coming out going to draw the people who came in to see like Endgame, so to speak? Like, they're not drawing in the same type of casual fans. Like, as a casual fan might go like, oh, this is the climactic cinematic thing for this universe that's been going for 10 years, and there's all these cool superheroes and everything, so I might go watch this. But then you see Shang-Chi Eternals and like, why would I go watch that? Who are these people? Just from like a casual, non-movie, just a regular person who's not necessarily a fan of the comics or the MCU. They're just a casual movie.
So that's what's happening right now in the world of Marvel Studios,
The MCU.
the MCU. And I can already tell you, just so people who are clicking and watching this video, like last time when we did a breakdown, I can tell you this new phase so far has been a bust. Like WandaVision was disappointing. A lot of people, even the MCU stands, surprisingly enough, they themselves said that they were pretty disappointed with the ending, maybe because they wanted their reveals to be true, and they ended up not being true. Mephisto stuff and all that junk. That was a pretty fair stance, but I think it's fair to say that WandaVision was maybe it was good for some people, maybe it wasn't, but it was disappointing in a lot of ways. Then we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, Black Widow. I think all those properties were bad, considerably.
I enjoyed WandaVision the most, but it's mostly what I don't like is what could have been with it. Because like a lot of the fan theories were better than what we got, and there's things that they should have added, and things that I know of what was going on behind the scenes that bothered me. But that probably was the most enjoyable show for.
Phase 4 has been Phase 4, as many have dubbed it, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I think Shang-Chi looks considerably interesting, but I already see, because I'm reading the comic books, that they are making some changes to the character himself, not just the Mandarin stuff, not just adding some other superfluous characters like Aquafina, Marvel's Katie, but just in general, just the character of Shang-Chi. I think they're changing him a little bit as well, but we'll have to see once I see the movie.
With that, we'll just jump into the Eternal.
Okay. And last time we broke down pretty much everything. But I think we covered the ground pretty well.
Thanos erased half of the population of the universe.
So from the looks of it, you
can I just
mentioned this
say?
5
Can I
years.
just say at the start?
Go ahead.
I
Go ahead.
really I just don't know what it reminds me of, but her accent when she says Thanos erased half of the population. I've heard the word population, the population in that heavy accent. I've heard it somewhere, and it's in the back of my mind, and I don't know what it's from. But it's
I think that's her normal voice, though.
Yeah, it is her normal voice, but it's reminding me of something else, of someone else who said something similar. In the word population is just like one of those things you see on the internet, and I have like this memory in the back of my mind that just evokes that, and I remember it being funny, but I just don't know what it is right now. I don't know what it is. I was hoping you would know.
I don't know exactly, but speaking of accent, this scene right here was the first time I heard Icarus like talk a good bit, and I did not know that the actor had like a accent. Like when he was talking, I was kind of like, what? I just wasn't expecting.
Oh
it.
yeah,
Just a little thing I
he
noticed.
speaks like these. Oh no, I'm doing it wrong. It's like
I'm gonna screw this up monumentally, but the first thing that popped in my head was some kind of Scottish Irish accent.
Well,
and
it
I'm
probably
sure
is.
I just butchered
like
that completely. What it was.
It's the Shrek accent. No, not I said the accent wrong. But yeah, that is his voice. The actor, I forget his name. He played in some other stuff.
Richard Madden, something.
Yeah, he played in
but anyway,
Bohemian Rhapsody.
like looking at what they're actually saying in the trailer, they mentioned the 5 years, and I think we speculated when this might be. So this sounds like this is like present day, so to speak, like the 5 years after Endgame and everything, because they mentioned Thanos coming back, the people coming back.
Yep.
So I guess this is all taking place right after in the events of Endgame, like everything else. So it's not like off the timeline.
In another trailer, we see her like touch the Black Returnal guy. I think I forgot his name. You can tell me, but
Phastos.
Yeah, in the last trailer, my general thoughts on it were that a lot of the characters were like just very in touch with their emotions. They're touching, holding hands. There's a lot of that, and in Black Widow we had a lot of that as well. A lot of crying, touching hands. Loki, we had a lot of crying there. Or at least characters that shouldn't be crying just randomly. Or also the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, a lot of crying in this MCU.
They're just in touch with their emotions.
Exactly. I made a joke on Instagram where Marvel Phase 2 characters, all of them just quip and make jokes, whereas Phase 4 characters, everyone is crying.
And Phase 1 characters were actually cool.
Yeah, they were. And this is like weird stuff because it's like, I'm on a horse. I'm on a horse, guys. Nature stuff. Nature is calling.
Ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a
So another plot centered around everyone in the population coming back to life. Kind of what Falcon and Winter Soldier covered, but more of the political aspect, I suppose.
Yeah,
and then this is more of
so.
And then this is covering it from the, effects that it's having in the universe of all the life coming back.
This is odd.
Form that into something.
She said it provided the necessary energy for the emergence to begin. And later down the trailer, we'll hear them say, and we have 7 days left. Now, this begs the question. So is this happening it's happening like, who knows, like several months after the events of Endgame. But now, here's the thing. The sudden return of the population created this emergence. But what happened when Thanos snapped his fingers and the entire universe was split in half? So the same amount of energy required to bring back the universe somehow is going to mark the start of the emergence. However, that same amount of energy prior to that, when Thanos snapped his fingers to kill everyone, that didn't do anything, but this did.
Brought everyone back with a snap of a finger.
Well, we did mention in Avengers Endgame, I believe Rocket mentioned how it left an energy source of like radiation from when he snapped. That's how they could track him to his planet.
Exactly.
So it
And-
obviously did leave a substantial
Yeah, but
energy
this
signature.
is saying it's doing it on a universal level to a point where it's not just the area that he snapped his fingers and it created some kind of radiation or impact. This is like we can see there's like an entire universe about to be changed because of this.
It is perhaps the amount of times that they snapped their finger over the course of those couple
Nah,
movies
come on, that's
that
ridiculous.
it just all built up.
No,
Okay, well,
she's
this is Marvel. We just don't
she's
know.
specifically referencing when Bruce Banner snapped his fingers. She's specifically referencing the return of everyone. She's not saying anything about the entire universe was wiped out in half, and now they brought it back, so now it's even worse. No, she's specifically singling out that one particular moment. And what's even weirder is then Thanos destroyed the stones. He used the stones to destroy the stones, which caused a very similar effect as it did in Wakanda when he used those gems. So now you are... So basically had 3 cases of people creating these fabric-changing realities, and only the third time... right now, only the third time around. Right now, it's only actually the problem. Oh yeah, now it's a problem. Now it's a problem. Before it was just like whatever. And that makes no sense.
What I'm gathering from this and then Falcon Winter Soldier is that they are not a fan of overpopulation. They're saying that's a problem. Oh no, all the people came back. This is horrible. Look at all the problems it's causing.
Yeah. And some people are
7 days.
yeah, people are speculating that this emergence might have something to do with the mutants, the X-Men coming in. What do you think about that?
I honestly think that's a better idea than making them just from a multiverse. I really hope they don't do that, but that seems like the way they'd go. Because it's going to be the same problem as the Eternals are facing right now. Where have the X-Men or any mutant been in the MCU for all this time? Like, you know, there would have been some reports of mutants
And
somewhere that
vampires.
the X-Men weren't formed.
And
I know.
because
it's
of
like-
Blade. The Daywalkers.
I know,
right?
and then the Fantastic Four are going to come in, and they're like, where are the Fantastic Four going to be
But I
brand
think you
new,
can
or they have
explain
been around and
Fantastic
they...
Four. I think you can get away with Fantastic Four easily. You can just make an origin story right now and say now they exist. You know, you can
Because
get
we
away with
also
it.
noticed that it gave away in WandaVision that Wanda already had powers before the experiment, so she's confirmed a mutant, I believe, in the MCU.
Well, she
so
isn't
mutants
a
are
confirmed.
around.
She isn't a confirmed mutant. She's a confirmed Scarlet Witch. So
Well,
we
yes,
we don't know
suppose.
yet if she's a mutant. We assume that's why it was the case. But
But-
then again, for her brother, they never mention her brother in that series, which is like the real brother. They never show him. They never say how the experiments affected him because, you know, he's not a Scarlet Witch. So why did he get his powers? Why did he survive the tests? That begs the question, and they totally glossed over that. So who knows? They just ignored it, and they're like, yeah, you're not going to ask this question. No, I'm going to ask this question. What happened? What about the brother? No, don't ask. Don't ask, just watch. Okay, and we have this image of the Celestial, and they're waking up.
Came here 7,000 years ago.
I like how
They're
someone
powering on.
described their ship as a giant Kit Kat
Protect
bar.
humans from the deviants.
Hey, it's the Deviants.
Interesting. See, like they don't look anything like the Deviants from the
The
comics.
Deviants
so,
are
I mean, I don't know if
humanoid,
this is.
right?
I know. So I don't know if this is supposed to be a deviant or just like a deviant creature that they
Creation,
have
yeah.
like pets, like a pet creature thing that they made, or I don't know.
And look, they fly. They fly now! And in the previous trailer, we've seen them fly as well.
Yeah, they were all kind of hovering. So this must be when they first revealed themselves. This kind of goes back to that village we saw in the first trailer, and this is like their first time coming back.
That's
I imagine that this is right after the Celestials have brought them to Earth and they're fighting the deviants who are
Yeah.
attacking the Earth and all that sort of stuff.
And I think it's a pretty cool design, but I thought the same thing as you. It doesn't look anything like the Deviants.
That's why I just
In the
question is that what the deviants look like? Because we see a deviant, which I believe is Crow, which I'll get to him later on. I have some information about him, but once we get to that part of the trailer. But
Ooh.
so I don't know if they look more like that guy, the guy that Angelina Jolie's character is getting like attacked by or talking to near the end. That's a deviant as well.
Yeah, you can just watch. So,
Came here
Kit Kat
7,000
comes
years
in
ago to protect humans from the deviants.
to protect the humans from the deviants. That
So you
heat
got her
vision looks.
laser eyes.
I gotta say, I think that heat vision looks pretty bad. I've seen. Look at it. I mean, I've seen it
He's
from.
no Superman.
Yeah, they did Superman. I'm like, I don't remember Superman looking that bad. And
They did do the thing with the Superman with his eyes getting kind of red around, like in
yeah, his
in his
veins.
face,
Yeah,
like they did that with Superman, where his eyes kind of did that. So it's kind of a similar way, but these are more
yeah.
like orangey, lasery looking. Or
golden. But I just don't know
yeah,
about it. It just looks more computery. His eyes, I don't know. It just doesn't look convincing. You know what? It's like his eyes burst, like the laser just burst out of his head, but he's just standing still like nothing. I think that's what it is. He's just standing and it's like he's not opening his
well, I
eyes.
guess
He's
they
not. He's not
assume.
acting to it. He's just standing. I think it's like the sort of stuff that doesn't work together because they didn't do anything with it on the set. You're like, now you shoot your lasers, and then you have to pose and you have to and that sort of sells it. Here he's just standing, so it looks so odd.
I guess they're assuming that since they're strong enough that it wouldn't like cause them any like to
Yeah,
jerk their head back or anything. Maybe I don't know.
yeah,
Because I
probably.
don't believe.
But it looks
I
odd.
mean, Superman doesn't flinch a lot when he shoots his laser eyes. He like directs it more, but
And also his beam is bigger, I think. Superman.
well, he's Superman.
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos?
Here we go. The
Oh, wow,
question.
the laundromat. Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos? Well, that's what everyone's wanting to know, Dane Whitman.
Yeah.
And we also want to know, are your clothes done? Because it looks like they're about done. So, anyone got any quarters?
All the other terrible things throughout history.
Yeah.
So he's
apparently
asking-
those.
Instructed not to interfere in
So this
ahead.
is them watching their city burn. Well, I says look that just looking at that them watching all this happen right here. I think this is like a man-made attack where like they're because you see in one shot right here where the guy's just standing in there watching it all from
Yeah.
the top. If you keep right there,
That's
it's like well we
that's the
can't do
guy from
anything.
the-
There's no.
That's the guy from the forest, right?
So that's what I think. And then it's like we're oh well the deviants aren't fighting these destroying our village or I mean our city. We can't do anything. We just gotta stay here and watch it burn. That's what the vibe it's getting off to me. Oh well. Sorry,
Here's the
folks.
thing. I guess we'll have to get into it later on, but I'm confused what the logistics are of their involvement, what considers as involvement, and what doesn't. But we'll get to that. We'll get to it. Anything you want to say about Dane Whitman right now, or do you want to move on?
I
and
mean, we
later
haven't seen any Dane Whitman like we see him a couple of times in the trailer, but we haven't seen anything hinting at him being anything other than a character. We have nothing that's tied him to being Black Knight. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they're gonna set it up or if it's gonna be a whole thing. But my man Black Knight better not get screwed up. That's all.
So basically, he's asking what everyone in the comment section is asking. So they had to have seen the reaction of the last trailer, and they're like, "Crap, we gotta answer this."
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts unless deviants are involved.
So you were instructed not to
What the heck?
interfere.
That makes that's I don't think that's not a sufficient answer. But then okay, we get this exchange later. By who? Who told you? Wow. Inception horns.
Oh yeah, we get the Galactus wannabe Celestial, and
I guess he looks pretty
so
cool.
obviously
I
they've
I
mentioned
like this in the trailer. It was like, by who?
the Celestials. I've seen the pictures of them. They're still like each one's like a different color, and this one's got like the red to it, but it could be a little more brighter. And the stars and everything could look more like a Jack Kirby work.
It's not just that. I think the Celestials, in the case of the red one, I think he also had like this very specific design, and he had something on his chest. Right now, it's just this kind of generic gooey stuff that it's like the ether again. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe they're trying to represent.
But is this the same I don't know if you remember on the spot, but is this the same Celestial that was in the Guardians of the Galaxy, or is that the other one?
You know what?
The
Let me
one that the
check.
Collector shows them using the staff.
I thought he was of a different color, but he looked pretty.
Well, he was holding the
Similar.
purple Power Stone, so that's why we just don't know.
He looks different in the image I have here. His chest looks different. His head looks the same. So it looks like it's the same one. It's just they changed the design and the color maybe. Because I thought he was golden, and he appears to be golden or brown in Guardians of the Galaxy, but here he's just red. Which, okay, he's red in the comic books.
Okay, so I was just gonna say, as we're coming to this point, we're gonna come to the big obvious elephant in the room of Thanos, and how Thanos is a deviant of an Eternal. As we know, Thanos is an Eternal in the comic books,
Yeah,
and he is kind of like a deviated, mutated version, so he's like a deviant. And I believe, and they've confirmed somewhere in the MCU, I don't know for positive, we'll have to double check, but that he is a deviant in the MCU. I don't know if he's exactly like the comic book.
I don't think he is
So,
a deviant.
but either
I think they're going to ignore it.
Well, see, I think that because they made Titan this own planet and stuff, they're going to just say he's an alien.
Yeah, I mean that's
But
what it would be, right?
But it's like, if either way, if he was a deviant or even if he was an Eternal who was just kind of mutated looking, either way, that would warrant, I believe, their interference.
But he's not a deviant.
But even if he was, like, I mean, if he was a deviant or even if he was an Eternal,
He's not. Let's
know.
Okay, but I think they're going to change this. I mean,
Well, I'm sure that's what they're going to go with,
Yeah,
but it's like,
exactly.
this is something they shouldn't have ignored, if you just look at it.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously.
Especially with the
entire-
line later on.
This entire line about how we can only interfere if it's to protect humans from the deviants, and that's just, guys, you're still not helping people. That still makes you a trash human being if you have this power to help people and you want to help people, but then you're like, nah, I'm just going to sit in the back and watch all the people I love get killed and die. Yeah, I'm just not gonna help. That still makes you a bad person regardless.
Well, it goes along the line later on that Thena says about them, well, if you love something, you protect it. And it's like,
yeah.
And it's like, well, sure,
Maybe.
now, after the Avengers had to come bail you out, because they didn't go help them any of those other times the world was about to end.
The humans did the humans did the heavy work, and now you're like, yeah, now we're gonna come in. Like,
yes, we fought.
That's the other
we
thing.
We fought an Asgardian and an army of aliens. We fought a giant robot and an army of robots. We fought a Titan and his army. But now that we're gonna fight a few deviants, and now you need to come out and help.
So now that's the other thing. If this movie ends, is it going to be them still not interfering? Because I think the natural thing you would think would be to write a story where there's something holding back the heroes, and then they it's a traditional story to write, and then they break away from it. Now they can help people as much as they want. And
well,
so if that's what they do here, then will that be warranted? Because then you're like, well, why didn't you do that earlier? What was so different this time around that you changed your mind? You know what I mean?
Well, I'm thinking, now this is obviously, have no idea what they would actually do, because the Marvel writers just never know. But they find out something about the Celestials.
You said, you put it well, creation. They never know anything. Continue on.
But if it's done right, and I think it could be a good way, is like the Eternals find out something about the Celestials. The Celestials are behind something. The Celestials are not what they seem. They've done something. They find out something not right, and they decide to go against the Celestials, who are the ones that decreed them not to interfere. And maybe they even have to fight in a Celestial or something. I don't know. And then they end up turning against them, as I'm saying, and then they become, well, we're going to help people now. And I'm sure, probably not all of them, but I'm sure some of them are going to, tie them to other Avengers stuff, because some of them are obviously have tied to Avengers comics. I don't think they're all going to stick around. Then maybe they'll kill some of them off or something. I don't know.
Well, there's definitely too
But
many of
this,
them.
yeah, I mean, I don't think all of them are going to stick around, but I think some of them, like Cersei, are probably going to like stick around and be like characters in like Avengers type movies.
Here we go. This November.
We need to find the others.
For now, anyway.
So I'm getting
I've-
Jungle Cruise vibes.
Yes, of
Haven't seen
course.
some of them for centuries.
We have the cult
Back in the woods. Ever seen all the other Eternals that they're tracking down?
eye, and
So they're all
meeting
spread out
again.
across the world. So it seems they're all spread out across the
We need to
world,
find
doing their
others.
own things for how long? Centuries, apparently.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
So, isn't just doing anything in the world considered interfering with it? That's the other thing.
Well,
Like-
it looks like that one guy has like a whole cult of people with him. So it's
Like,
like
if someone,
that's the impression I've gotten from some of the trailers.
yeah, and isn't that already interfering, or isn't just like starring in a Bollywood movie also considered like you're still interacting? Like, what's like? How do you define interfering? Is it only when bad stuff happens that then it's considered like? Even then, if a cop comes over or like a burglary blah blah blah, a robbery happens, and and in a store, and someone says, "Give me the money," and then they walk away. If you stop that, do the Celestials come over and destroy this entire world because, or someone says something mean to another person and you say, well, don't be mean, do the Celestials then come over and take you in and destroy the entire world because you interfered?
Well, if you look
It's
at it,
ridiculous.
it looks like most of the characters have kind of stayed in hiding, but the one character, Kingo, well, he's looked like he's got a camera crew with him. He's in Bollywood dance number, so it's like he's used his time on Earth to be like a famous
Yeah.
person of some kind, whether he's a celebrity or just a famous influencer person. But he's got like camera crews you see in one trailer, and he's in the Bollywood thing in the
Yeah.
one shot. So it's like, he's used his powers or influence or whatever to become
Yeah.
kind of a famous personality. But the others seem to have kind of stayed secluded and off to themselves for the most part, unless you count going to IKEA as interfering as well. It's the same logic that Kang uses about deciding what's a variant, and they have to go get rid of the timeline, I suppose.
Yeah, it's just whatever we say it is. Just go with it.
Whatever I haven't decided, so it's like it's just all arbitrary.
This is what the end of the world looks like.
Yes, this is what the end of the
Yes,
world looks like.
this trailer is what the end of the world looks like.
Please be a front row seat.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
Cringe. So here's another shot we get of this character that we haven't seen in any other shot of this. Well, we've always seen him in the woods. Now he's in this ship with all the others, and it looks like it's in a different scene. So
Please be a front row
he's
seat.
around.
Well, obviously, they're gonna be the first part of the movie is gonna be them just trying to get
Find
the
each
gang
other.
back together. Then they're gonna come together, and then the second half they'll actually do something, to fight whatever's going on.
By the
I mean,
way,
I'm hoping that they haven't showed much of this trailer because there's just I haven't really gathered what the how the deviants are tied in and how they're connected to the emergence and everything that's going on. So, I'm hoping there's a lot more that's not in the trailer just going to explain some of it.
and we have the Chloe Zhao Academy Director winning whatever. It was a pretty weak movie, by the way. Not recommended, really.
We've
It's just
loved
whatever.
these people since the day we arrived.
We've loved these people.
When you love
If you
something,
notice, that one guy we have not seen in much of the other stuff.
you protect it.
Which one is that? I believe it's
s-
Gilgamesh.
Where?
We see him over here to the side next to Thena. We haven't seen him much in the
So,
trailers.
by the way, look.
I don't know if he's a big.
Love these
She's
people since
she's
the day we
interfering with these people. Look, she's making them happy.
When you love something,
And they're braiding hair.
Like,
That girl's hair would have not been
th-
braided
that
otherwise.
explanation is so stupid. You see, this is like the stuff you run into where you didn't even think ahead of the curve. So now you want to retcon these characters into these stories, and then you make up these nonsensical reasons why, and then people
I feel
people will-
like
then you like you say that it makes no sense, but then these keyboard warriors come in. No, it's explained in the movie. You missed it. No, it's still stupid and makes no sense. But they explained
it
it.
would have
Doesn't
made
matter.
more.
It makes no sense. It's stupid.
It would have made more sense if they were off world in some other dimension or something,
Like Captain
that like they
Marvel.
were away. Well, not even like that, but like they were just off. They were not in this like realm or something. Like they were off somewhere else. They were not tied to Earth. But it makes it all the worse that they're just sitting on Earth doing nothing
because you
when
want
all
to
this stuff happens.
because you want to write a story where they were somehow involved in the prehistoric times or like the 7,000 years ago. You want to have that element in. So they're like, now how do we fit this in? And they don't know how, so they're just making up stuff.
You protect it.
She turns it. So this is what you were talking about, is that she can just like transform matter, and that's what you told me.
Yes,
her
we saw that in
powers.
the first trailer where they could transform into the water. So she changed it into rose petals apparently. And I assume that she's off in London or something in her like regular life before they get together, and that's how she's like in contact with Dane.
Mhm.
And however that's gonna tie in. Like if it's done like I think, then perhaps she's familiar with Dane's lineage inside of like
Mhm.
the old Arthurian times, and so that's where she's kind of like made her a residence at in that London, England area, and that's how she's kind of tied to Dane because she's been kind of around in his ancestors and stuff. Maybe. Well, like it's tied that Cersei was around in the Arthurian times with the original Black Knight, which is part of Dane's ancestors,
Sure.
and in that London, England area.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's been around, she's familiar with those people, and that's how she's tied to Dane in present day when she's now back in present day.
Oh, okay.
That could be how their connection is, I
Hmm.
should say, because
Oh,
you've seen several shots where it looks like she's in like London, so she's either living there or she's went there for some reason.
makes sense. And I'm curious to ask you, maybe, if you know what this is, what we're looking at here. It's like this entire it looks like a beehive for the deviants is my prediction.
Perhaps
Or maybe like this is where they create where this maybe they create the Eternals and they create deviants. But
it is
what do you
perhaps
think it is?
something.
Because you know a little bit more about, well, you know
It
more
looks like it
than
could be
me.
something. It looks like a little bit something like that. Perhaps that was like the Celestials placed there on the Earth, like kind of what you mentioned when they were, because I believe in the first comic they mentioned how they created the three beings, the humans, the deviants, and the Eternals,
Mm-hmm.
and that could have been kind of one of the early like places that they used for the creation and for the housing of the deviants and Eternals. And now they're kind of going back and exploring and finding out stuff about them in these old places. So that's probably could be part of one of the stories. Is maybe that's why Cersei's here in London. Maybe this is in London there or in England. There's the remnants of this place, and she's going looking for it. That could be what she's doing there.
Could this be somehow related to Black Knight and his mythology?
Well, his sword is created from a meteorite and by Merlin, so it is entirely possible for the MCU they could somehow tie it to some kind of celestial technology, and Merlin was really an eternal or a mutant or something, and then that's how it's tied,
Or
and that
maybe
could be how
something to
it's
do
all
with
tied
the
together.
crystals here. Maybe it's the crystals might have
That's
something
how
to
they
do
got their
with
powers.
or maybe like I was thinking more along the lines of the crystals being like in the replacement for the meteor, of how he gets his powers and stuff.
It is possible. Like I said, it's really can't tell from the trailers if Dane is just going to be this character that's kind of just following them around and he's a side character, or if he's actually going to go into any of the Black Knight lore or him becoming Black Knight, or if it's just going to
Right.
kind of tease it for a future project.
Because for those who haven't watched our first episode, our first breakdown of the trailer, the first trailer, which you don't have to watch this video to, or that video to watch this one, but yeah, he's the Black Knight.
Yes, Dane Whitman, the Black Knight.
Pretty colors. And it looks like this entire place transforms into these trypophobia markings. See, it's changing, yeah. We have the volcano event.
This kind of looks like it's going back when you see those action shots. See Crow. This is what I'm talking about. I was talking about earlier. He's like he is the leader of the deviants on Earth, and actually he
He's the
was
leader of the
with
deviants?
Athena. He was the leader of the deviants on Earth, the Earth's faction of the deviants.
I thought he was a celestial. Is he? 'Cause
No,
we
he
see
is-
him
he
create a
is-
universe. Oh,
Well,
this is
that-
who's talking. Oh, my bad.
Oh, sorry.
We'll get to him.
I was reading the thing, but I believe this is a celestial. But
Yeah.
the other character, like I said, we see. If you want to go a little further, you can probably see him talking to Angelina Jolie's character in a minute. And that's Crow, who is the leader of the deviants on Earth, and actually had children with Athena. They were together. So that's a little kind of a weird thing going on there. They've got deviant
Him?
and eternal.
No, that's
was the thing.
Gilgamesh, right?
That's Gilgamesh. Like I mentioned, we haven't seen him much in the trailers. I don't know if he's not around or what, but I just know
Is
if
he
you
the
haven't
guy
seen
that
him
has his own cult?
No, that's the other guy from the woods that I was talking about.
Okay. So
I get that, but you know the one shot where we see them all standing together? I believe that was in this past right here. And that shot where they're all standing together, so I think that maybe Gilgamesh or some of them are dead in the present time, because I've never seen Gilgamesh in present time, so I'm thinking maybe he dies, or gets gone, because I haven't seen him in any of the present day stuff.
So just to support what I was saying with the laser beam stuff and how selling it, just the way you move, the way you pose sells it, from what I heard is that all of this stuff obviously is CG, but Angelina Jolie said that all of this, she had no idea what she was going to be carrying in the movie. When she was shooting, she had no idea. I guess they just told her, and she just had to imagine that she was holding it, but she didn't know what the design would be, obviously. So, but she still sells it because, and then the VFX artists come in and they kind of craft it, like the VFX come together with how the person sells it, and I could believe just by looking at it that yeah, she made this and it looks cool, this shot here, but the other one, he's just standing there, and it's literally, if I just took a random person off a street, if I just recorded them standing, just stand there, do nothing, sir, and I record, and then I send this off to a VFX team or like some other guy, and I just have them shoot out these, it's like a filter, from Snapchat. It's like the same effect that's giving me, but like, this is like my example of how it looks better. So, actually, let's go further. So we've seen the creation of the universe or the galaxy, which is really cool to see, but that looks like a weird slide. Athena is just like she's like sliding across like Wonder Woman. Oh gosh, stuff's happening. So now he's reacting a little bit more.
Now this is the deviant Crow.
Any of them.
Now he doesn't look anything like his comic book character counterpart.
Did he give you
But
his
like I
name?
said, they showed it in the. I've heard it said. Not I don't know if they say it in the trailer, but it's in the captions, and I've seen it, that that's who this character is.
Oh gosh.
And this is Crow,
You know
and
what
they
this
have
reminds
history
me
in the
of?
comics.
You know what
They
this
have-
reminds me of?
They have. What was
It
that?
reminds me of the. Do you remember the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pitch
Yeah.
where they were going to be aliens? This is what this reminds me of. This is, oh my goodness, I'm pulling it out on a screen on my phone right now, and it looks pretty similar in terms of the design.
Like I said, this doesn't look like Crow from the comics, but him and Athena right here, they have kids in the comics, and they were together, so that was kind of a strange thing because comics. I don't know if they're gonna have them have history in this or not, because this is the first time we've seen a deviant, like, unless you count those like monster creatures we saw earlier. So I don't know if they're all gonna look like this, like they're gonna all be like homogenous, like looking the same, or if they're all gonna look unique, which I would hope
Probably.
they're gonna look unique and not like
Do you
all like
mean-
look like
Do you
him.
mean, like, what would you consider the Skrulls to be? Are they all unique? or
I
do
would
they-
consider like the scrolls like they all look the same. Some have a little bit of tweaks here and there.
yeah, you can
Like
tell
maybe
them
one
apart
guy
from
will have
something like the Chitauri.
maybe like this one of them would have 2 eyes, this guy has 4 eyes, kind of thing. Like, but I hope they have a little bit more uniqueness to each of the deviants
So you hope
as
there's more
characters
difference.
and not. Yeah, and they're not just like they all like look like him for the most part. Like they're like
Yeah.
have some uniqueness to each character. Once we see more of them.
Agreed. And we get these weird shots of. Well, this is the thing. People say the VFX looks awesome in this. That was an awkward slide, kind of. This looks very awkward. And this looks, I guess. And this alien and Athena's face looks fake. Like, the eyes aren't selling it for me.
Any of them.
And he's
Yep,
fighting.
just get a lot of fighting.
Yeah. So pretty cool stuff.
So it looks like
So
it looks like they get a
Here we have another. Is he fighting the same creature from the beach, or the same species of the deviant? So here's now we have a different design for the.
I think this
creature.
is all from the same. I believe this is all from the same fight because it looks like
So,
when they're
yeah.
flying, they're just over top of the woods.
So
now
we're
they're
already
in the
seeing
woods.
different deviations of deviants, and I think we're gonna get that with them. He has
Like I
this
said,
hand
it
on
depends
him.
if these are deviants
Oh
or
yeah,
because
yeah,
like
true.
it making them seem more like the deviants are like these creatures as opposed to being more humanoid, which they are more humanoid and not so creaturey. That's why I'm wondering if these are what they're considering deviants or if they're like deviant pets, so to speak, like attack dogs. Like I don't know.
And finally, our favorite parts of all the Marvel trailers.
He's built the perfect safe house. Well, what's
The
this
joke.
thing made of? Vibranium?
This is so stupid.
I can't believe Marvel went after IKEA like that though,
Collection.
saying they have crappy tables.
IKEA.
I'm laughing at it how just
Vibranium tables not sold
why-
at IKEA.
I'm trying to think how this would work in the movie. Would this work? Well, we'll see. I just
I'm sure this is just them finding people, and this is where he happened to be hiding Phastos. And that's where Icarus and Cersei found him.
Phastos has been fasting. I've also
November
heard
5th.
like when he mentions like the 7 days of and they have 7 days. They all started comparing it to like it's the Bible. Like I heard like Grace from Beyond the Trailer say that, and then they all started making this excuse where one person in the comments where it was, well, it makes sense that they didn't really intervene because if you look at the religion stuff as inspiration, then God also doesn't intervene unless demons are involved, and that's kind of not true. That's not really how that works, sir, because I'm pretty sure that God doesn't intervene or he doesn't intervene. You know, it's not really just a you have to, like, you could say that like in Christianity it's that all this stuff that's happening is that Satan is behind it, right? Or like he's somehow involved because he's the bad guy basically. So but here you're saying like he's basically, if you're saying evil stuff is happening, you attribute that evil stuff, that the source of where it comes from, and that evil is from the devil. Whereas here, there's a lot of evil stuff happening. However, you're saying that the Eternals only come in when the deviants come in, which is not the one-to-one comparison that you're making, because the devil is somehow he's involved in all evil, whereas the deviants are involved in just deviant evil. So that comparison of, oh yeah, they're like God, they interact when only deviants are involved. Yeah, but God interacts when evil stuff is happening in general, you know? So it's not a very good comparison if you ask me.
Just one thing I noticed when we were looking through the trailer there, when we see Cersei looking at the Celestial, she's still wearing the same clothes. I think that's like a projection that she like gets like she sees the Celestials while she's inside that fortress we look at earlier. We were talking about that could be an ancient celestial place, and we see her in there talking to or looking up at the Celestials. I think maybe she activates something and she
You mean
is somehow
this moment?
communicating with.
Hold up. When she's just looking at
Yes.
them. This? Yeah.
Because she's like, yeah, because I was
In
like, I think
space.
maybe that is like she's all of a sudden in space. Like I think maybe she's somehow connected to the Celestials once she goes into that place,
It could be
and
like a
they're
mind
like
link
communicating with
thing.
her.
Maybe he
Yeah,
called
like a
her.
mind link of some
He
kind.
called her on Skype. It reminds me of like Exo Manowar, which I guess is a bad reference because no one really knows what I'm talking about. But in the Exo Manowar, there's like this race of aliens called Divine, and they all have this like power to the race of the aliens can go into this room that's in their minds, and they can all meet there. And I guess this could be that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that was the trailer. What did you think in general? We were talking earlier about how before we started recording how I actually liked this video. I don't know why I liked it. Maybe it was by
Did you switch to
a
a dislike though,
muscle.
or did you just unlike it?
I unliked it, but maybe I guess no, I'm not gonna dislike. And because
Well, to be all entirely honest, I have thought the Eternals was the one of the more intriguing things Marvel was putting out this year. But like I said, it's just because I was kind of interested in Black Knight. There's some of the things that are intriguing about the Eternals, but then they just so many confusing things that I would hope they would explain in the movie, but just because of some of the loose ends they leave nowadays and some of this recent Marvel stuff, I'm not confident they are going to tie up all these loose ends in the movie.
so who's this Athena's husband you were talking about that he doesn't appear a lot in this? Where is he?
Oh, I'm not. I was okay. So I'm talking about if we're not appearing a lot. Was I talking about Gilgamesh,
Oh,
which is the guy over next to Athena? I said. I just noticed this. This
Okay.
shot right here, I believe, is in the past when they were fighting those creatures in the old place. Like this is like when they
Oh.
first appear. I bet where they're all together. They just appeared. That's why they're in uniform. That's why
They're a
they're in the
couple?
past. That's what I think. No, no. Let me finish. And then that later on, we don't see Gilgamesh, is what I was saying. But Crow, the deviant that was like wrapping her arms up, that was the who I was talking about. They were together. They had they had twins in the comic books.
So they are a couple.
Well, it's kind of confusing. I don't remember if they were together, and then I don't know if they were like officially married or anything, but they were together. They had kids, and there was a whole thing with
But I'm
them
still confused
going
as to
on.
who is Crow.
The character that was wrapping her arms up, and you said the alien with the 4 eyes that you were talking about. We were talking
So
about
the deviant?
the
That's
deviant. Yes,
that's their child?
yes. No, that's who she has a child with
Oh,
in the
ew, that's
comic books.
disgusting.
It's no, like I say, he looks a little different in the comic books, but they did have kids together in the comic books.
I
So
mean,
that's
if
why I'm
this is
saying I wonder.
if this is how it happens, then this movie's gonna go down pretty not well.
I don't know if they're gonna do any of that with. Maybe they'll just have some kind of history together, or I don't know. But that was a point in the comics, and there was actually in the run of Heroes for Hire, they fight the Eternals to get her kids back and all this different stuff that were tied to her when she was back just after she's left Crow. But they have kids together. That I guess they're eternal deviant hybrids of some kind.
What did you think of the trailer in general? Other than
I think it leaves more questions than answers. It tries to give us explain like, oh, we were told not to, but you know, they're like, okay, well, you know, it just didn't. It just left more questions than answers, I think. And like I mentioned, I don't know that. I hope that they explain more of how all this is tied together in the movie, but I honestly just don't know if they are going to explain it to my satisfaction.
I was watching it and I found myself, I guess maybe that's why I liked it. I found myself just interested in whatever was happening because it felt fresh and new. I'm like, this is cool. But then I just remembered how they're changing so much of this. And by the end of the day, I just realized, but yeah, this is so cheap. Why don't you just make an original idea? Why don't you produce an original film where you have to deviate from so far from what was? Why don't you just do something new instead of changing it?
Is really they're just using the Marvel name. That's the only reason that they did this, because that's what Kevin Feige said. Kevin Feige said they pushed this movie forward because they could supposedly, in their minds, they could change everybody without people, comic fans, griping about it, because who knows who the Eternals are? We can change their races and genders and their looks and their backstories and everything, because who knows the Eternals? Well, enough people know that you've changed it, so it's still the same problem. Granted, it's not the level of if, oh, we made, you know, we changed Thor to a woman. Oh wait, we changed Tony Stark into a black girl. Oh wait, and then we changed Captain America to a woman. Oh wait, we did that too. Okay, so never mind.
I give this trailer a 6 deviants out of 100.
I will say I'm intrigued to see how it plays out, and I'm not like saying I hate it off the bat. It just seems like it's leaving a lot of plot holes that
Oh yeah.
the trailers are making plot holes that we shouldn't have. Like if they hadn't brought this stuff, they've brought up plot holes
I
and they're
mean,
trying to fix the plot holes all before the movie even comes out.
they kind of have to, because a lot of that's become the conversation in the comments of the last video. That was pretty much all the comment section was about. It's just how they were not doing anything.
Because like
So
if
if they
if
just
they
ignored that, I don't know if people would stop writing about it.
if
But considering
if
how
they
they
just
even explain it here, maybe that even made it worse because people are still talking about it.
if they do properly explain how they sat out and everything in the movie, then they probably should have crafted the trailer in such a way that these questions wouldn't have been so prominent.
What if it's
Like, I
it's
mean,
plot related and it's like a big spoiler?
but I'm just saying, like, they could have, if they could have maybe crafted the trailer in a way that this question wouldn't have came up so prominently,
Yeah,
assuming that they actually explain it well in the movies, then maybe that would have been a better route. But they kind of set themselves up for this by them, saying all this stuff and then trying to fix it too. They set themselves up for these plot holes, and then people questioning it, and then they're trying to like give them an answer without spoiling things or whatever. And
a
so
lot of
like
it
they
could have
might
been
explain it.
a lot of it could have been avoided if you just cut out the line, "We came here thousands of years ago," something like that, or in the first trailer how they were saying, "For all these years, we did not interfere." You could have cut that out, and we could have just had these images of these poor people who didn't look like even cavemen to me, or gave me no sort of sense that this was happening like thousands of years ago. I thought it was just some other country. So I think you could have easily made it seem so that, and then when you watch the movie, then you find out that it was 7,000 years ago that this happens. And then when you're watching the movie, that's when you find out. So that doesn't have to become a conversation, like you said.
Well, it could have been. We could have been speculating. Hey, maybe they just were. Well, I was gonna say maybe they could speculate that the Celestials made them after Thanos did all this to like be a safeguard, but then I guess they wouldn't really be Eternals if they were just made after Thanos was around.
Yeah.
But maybe they were off and they were sent to Earth by the Celestials after this to, we could have speculated things like that. For like where the Eternals have been like off, that would have made them seem less controversial of sitting out of everything than they are now. But I guess it could come back to the same thing as the Captain Marvel argument, where like Captain Marvel disappeared for 20 years before doing who knows what, even though she, could have been helping on Earth. So I guess the same questions could have arisen. And I feel like unless there's an origin, then that's every superhero or character they bring in after this is going to be questioned. Where were they when this was happening? That's why I feel like the mutants coming in is going to be really tricky, and I don't feel like it's going to be a very good explanation. It's going to be like they were in the Fox multiverse, and now they're in the MCU multiverse. It'll probably happen in Deadpool or something. It'll be a silly like little one line that Deadpool says, and that's how it happened or something.
Yep. So these were our thoughts of the Marvel Studios Eternals trailer. I don't know if we have anything else to say. I think we covered it pretty much.
I think we went over a 2-minute, 3-minute trailer pretty thoroughly.
Yeah. So, if you guys got any questions for us, any information that we missed out on, any ideas of your own, make sure to comment down below. Like, sub, tell us if you want to hear some reviews on this channel of these movies, or if you want to talk to us about some other characters, let us know.
Later, everyone. Thanks for watching.
See you guys. Bye bye. The end of the video. Da-da-da-da-da.